This is the Gooshbagz Fantasy Football League podcast with your host, Jason Peck. Oh, that's right, boys. We're back for another season of fantasy football. As you heard, I got an updated intro song. I don't have to do my own little introduction, so I introduce me via the magic of recording in advance. So we're back. I'm here quickly. I just wanted to do a quick episode, week 0 episode after the draft to just kind of look over everybody's teams quick, see what I think of each one. Obviously, I think my team is the best, but other than that, maybe I'll I don't know if I'll do a full power rankings this week, but I wanted to just go through and give you guys an idea of what I thought of your guys' team. So we'll start with me. Obviously, like I said, I think my team's the best. I got Jalen Hurts in the quarterback spot. I got him in the 6th round, so that was key. We got Jonathan Taylor as a keeper in the 2nd round this year. That was awesome too, because I was able to grab DeAndre Swift, even though I was super pissed about the Saquon Barkley choice by Benaya. I thought for sure Saquon was going to drop to me. DeAndre Swift is still going to get a lot of touches. He's going to get a lot of catches. I think he's going to be Alvin Kamara-esque. And at the end of the draft, I was glad I grabbed Darrell Henderson, who looks like he might be a beast after last night, or at least get all the work, or a lot of the work, hopefully. We got Ramondre Stevenson. We'll see how he does in the New England backfield, and we got Cordell Patterson. All solid running backs, I think. Backups that I think could be usable in weeks where my starters have a bye, so that's good. As wide receivers, I got A.J. Brown, DJ Moore. Got all the volume here with DJ Moore, Brandon Cooks, Christian Kirk. Those are going to be solid for volume. We're going to see how Juju does with Patrick Mahomes over there with the Chiefs. I think Patrick Mahomes made some comments earlier this week saying that most of the, it might be up and down each week, depend on it might change the starting wide receiver. The wide receiver one might change each week. It might be different week to week, so we'll see how that goes. And at the end of the draft there, I grabbed Kadarius Toney and Jahan Dotson. Actually, I grabbed Jahan Dotson. So those might also be decent starters here if they pan out. I got David Njoku as my late round tight end. Jacoby Brissett has a tendency to work with the tight ends quite closely, so I'm pretty stoked about that. And then the Denver Broncos have two good matchups to start off the year, so I grabbed them. And Daniel Carlson's got a good offense, so I think my team is very solid top to bottom, and even my backups, I think, I have plenty of potential. So we'll move on to Benaya's team. We got Aaron Rodgers there leading the team on the quarterback spot. I think he's going to be solid. We'll see how he does without Devontae Adams this year, but I think they're still going to pass quite a bit, and he's going to definitely have some fantasy goodness there. We got Saquon Barkley in the 1st round. Still pretty salty about that one, and I'll probably be salty all year, so screw you, Benaya. We got Joe Mixon. We got Rashad Penny, J.K. Dobbins, and Kenneth Gainwell rounding out the running backs. That's all right. We'll see how J.K. Dobbins does coming back from his injuries, and Rashad Penny will be good until he gets hurt. But he did good at the end of the last year, so if he can keep that up and stay healthy, then he might be okay. But that's a Seattle offense that I really don't have much faith in. In the wide receivers, you got Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Deontay Johnson, Gabe Dave, who you left out of the lineup for some reason this week, Chris Olave, and Sky Moore, so taking some good shots on some rookies at the end of the draft there. Gabe Davis, I think, is going to be good for you this year. He's going to be a solid flex / wide receiver 2. Deontay is going to be consistent, even though he's going to be injured every single game and then come back in the game. Got Cole Kmet and Dawson Knox there in the tight end spot. Picked up the Colts D. I think they got a pretty good starting schedule. And then Matt Gay, who did have a 57-yarder last night, so that's pretty dope. Overall, decent team. Definitely not as good as mine. So you're an underdog here against me. Just letting you know, Benaya. Maybe that's just me still being mad about Saquon, but whatever. On to Chad. Chad, starting off with Matt Stafford and Kirk Cousins. Unfortunately, I think you started Matt Stafford last night, and I think he only got like 10 fantasy points, 3 interceptions. We'll see if we have to pull the ripcord on Matt Stafford here. But you grab Matt Stafford because you have the Cooper Kupp stack, so can't be all that mad because Cooper Kupp got like 20-something fantasy points last night, 25 or something. You got CMC. I think it's the first overall pick this year. Good choice. Good choice. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is your second running back. Maybe Breece Hall in there by the end of the year. We'll see if he, makes his way into the starting roster. We got Mike Davis. Might be a good week 1 starter. Nyheim Hines and Tony Pollard. Overall, the running backs are okay, but by the time we got around to them in the second round, it was kind of thin. I think once you grab Christian McCaffrey at the top, running back 2 might be a position you kind of got to fill as the season goes on, but hopefully Clyde Edwards-Helaire does it for you. Then we got Cooper Kupp, Keenan Allen, Michael Thomas, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Drake London, and Jameson Williams. You're taking a lot of shots on some young players, and then Michael Thomas. We'll see. I mean, you got 2 solid studs in Cooper Kupp and Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's going to be a constant force, consistent player all year. So, and you got some potential upside with Amon-Ra and Michael Thomas. So that could definitely work out for you this year. I think your wide receiver room is good. Better than mine. I'll give you that. But my running backs, I think, are better. Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift. So I think I got a leg up on you there. And then I think my quarterback, Jalen Hurts, is definitely a leg up. But you got Kyle Pitts, so he could potentially just burn the entire world to the ground this year and just be awesome. So we'll see how he does it. But you versus Benaya, I think. I like Benaya's running backs a little bit better just because of Joe Mixon and Saquon. Like his running back 2 is better, but I like your wide receivers. I think Benaya's got larger depth at wide receiver. I think you've got 2 studs and then kind of studs and duds sort of deal on your team, versus I feel like Benaya's got a little bit consistent backup. So overall, worse than me. And throughout the year, maybe Benaya might do better. When everybody's healthy, though, I think you could have potential to dominate. Adam, moving on to Adam. He got Trey Lance there back in I don't know what round he drafted him in. I don't have the draft up. I have the trade block up because that just has everybody's roster. Makes it easy for me. You got Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler, Zeke, Kareem Hunt. Ooh, those are some good running backs, 4 running backs there. Alexander Madison, Miles Sanders, and Isaiah Spiller. All decent running backs. Your wide receivers, though, maybe paid the price for your good running backs. You've got Stephon Diggs, Allen Robinson, who is iffy now after that first game, one catch for 12 yards. You got Marquise Brown, who might be good the first few weeks, especially if everybody else is hurt there, it seems like. And then DeAndre Hopkins comes back in the week 7. You got Treylon Burks and Christian Watson. 2 shots on some rookies there at the end of the draft. You got TJ Hockenson as your tight end. Not too bad. I think you got him at a decent value too. I think he was kind of dropping. The Packers D who are playing Minnesota week 1. So we'll see. Packers D overall I think is going to be good this year, but against Minnesota, who actually has a decent offense this year, might be a high scoring game. But the Packers are for sure going to win. Overall, I think I like your running back depth more than I think anybody else is in this league. But your wide receiver depth, I think you might have trouble filling that wide receiver 2 role, which might be okay, especially since you can have like Zeke in your flex. Otherwise, most people would have a wide receiver in the flex. So I think you'll be okay. But TJ Lance has some upside, but he could also get benched now that Jimmy Garoppolo's back. So you might have to be scrambling at the quarterback position, not unlike Trey Lance himself. On to James. He's got Lamar Jackson as his quarterback. He also picked up Derek Carr. We got Lamar Jackson is definitely going to be solid this year. He might be one of the top 3, if not better, this year. I think Lamar Jackson has some high upside. We got Nick Chubb here. We got Najee Harris, A.J. Dillon. So those are 3 solid running backs as well. Devin Singletary and Rashad White, I believe, from Tampa Bay, backup running back. On the wide receivers, you got Terry McLaurin, Adam Thielen, Chris Godwin, DJ Chark. Chris Godwin was a keeper. That was an iffy keeper. I advised him to not keep him, but he did. And DJ Chark, Chase Claypool, and Elijah Moore. Decent wide receivers. Actually, I think it's a pretty similar wide receiver room to mine at the top level as far as talent goes. I don't think he quite had the depth, although he did grab Elijah Moore near the end, which I think is a good choice. DJ Chark could be better than expected, I suppose. And they got Dallas Goedert, Tampa Bay defense, and Harrison Butker rounding it out. I think your team's decent with Lamar Jackson and your running backs. I think you got a solid core. Nick Chubb, Najee Harris, A.J. Dillon. That's a solid core, and I think your wide receivers have some touchdown upside. Like Terry McLaurin, I think is going to get a lot of targets. Adam Thielen just could potentially get a lot of touchdowns. So I think that could be a solid pairing. On to courts. We've got Kyler Murray and Justin Fields in the quarterback room. That's a solid quarterback room. I think Justin Fields has some potential for some upside, and he's not going to get benched for anybody. I think that's important. We got Javonte Williams, who was drafted in the first or second round. I think you were on the turn, so either one. You kept Cam Akers, which was, as you could see, a risky proposition. He got 3 carries with no yards last night in the first opening game. We got Chase Edmonds, Damian Pierce, Brian Robinson, rounding out the. So you took both. Oh no, he doesn't have Antonio Gibson. Never mind. Damian Pierce is a solid value. I don't know when exactly you grabbed him. I think I was going to try to grab him next if you didn't. So I think you grabbed him in probably the 7th or 8th round. Not 100% sure. Chase Edmonds is also back there. Potentially some good value in the running back room. So you may have some making up to do in the running back room. But I think Damian Pierce and Chase Edmonds can be some solid running back 2s. And you're hoping that Javonte Williams has that running back 1 year that he could potentially have. We grabbed Devontae Adams in the at the turn there. I think the 1-2 turn, and then T. Higgins, Brandon Ayuk, Darnell Mooney, Rashad Bateman, and George Pickens. I think those are pretty good picks for the wide receiver spots. You got Devontae Adams being solid, I think, in Las Vegas. You got Darnell Mooney I think he's going to be consistent. Rashad Bateman has some upside there in Baltimore. I think he's going to have boomer bust games, I think. And T. Higgins has been almost as good as Jamar Chase, to be honest, over the second half of the season last year. So you got some solid wide receivers as well. So I think the only thing you're potentially lacking is in that running back room. But if everything breaks right, you could have definitely have a solid team. You got George Kittle, who's injured already. I got something for you. This week's injuries.
How is he running with a broken leg? Dog, I gotta do this shit. I put the team on my fucking back, though. My leg broke. I don't know how the fuck I'm running right now, though.
That's my new injury drop. I am stoked. I'm so stoked about that. So yeah, he's injured. I don't think he's gonna play week 1. So you got Alberto here to back it up. So we'll see. That might hurt your projections here in the first week, and we'll see how it goes. Aaron Buck, where do I start with your team? Well, maybe we should start with all of the quarterbacks that you drafted. You got Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, and Joe Burrow. So that was iffy play calling. You only have 3 running backs on your roster. You have Travis Etienne, Antonio Gibson, and James Robinson. So 2 running backs from the same team, and then 1 from Washington, who potentially won't have a starting job in week 4. So your team is looking strong for the first few weeks of the season, but after that, you might have a tough time in the running back room. We got Tyreek Hill, Jerry Jeudy, Tyler Lockett, and Tyler Boyd as your wide receivers. You got Travis Kelce and Hunter Henry as tight ends, and you have the 49ers and Bills defenses with Justin Tucker as your quarterback. So you are projected to be close to me this week, but I don't see it being as close as it's projected. So we'll see how it goes. But I project you're going to get last in the league this year, from winning it 2 years ago to being last this year. On to Neil. Neil, you got Dak Prescott as your quarterback. You got Dalvin Cook, James Conner, Josh Jacobs, Elijah Mitchell, and Michael Carter. All starters. 5 starting running backs. So that's impressive. Hopefully, if they stay healthy, like, you could have a very solid running back room throughout the year. You got CeeDee Lamb, Deebo Samuel, Michael Pittman, DeAndre Hopkins, Amari Cooper, Devontae Parker, and MVS. Your team is very solid. You've got a lot of good starters on your team. Yeah, you could be formidable. You got Zach Ertz as your tight end. You might figure out your tight end spot here this week. He may or may not be playing. You've got the Titans as your D and Matt Prater, who you picked up both after the draft. But your wide receiver room is very solid. You got 3 potential top 12 running backs, or wide receivers, with CeeDee, Deebo, and Michael Pittman. And you have solid running backs. So, like, that could make up for your lack of potential. Like, Dak might be okay this year. I don't think he's going to, be a barn burner or anything. But, so, yeah, we'll see how that goes. But your wide receivers and running backs could definitely make up for the fact that your quarterback is potentially just, like, a consistent, 15 to 20 points each week. Moving on to Ryo, you got Josh Allen, the number 1 drafted quarterback, and so far that seems like it was a good idea. You got Alvin Kamara, Leonard Fournette, Damian Harris, and James Cook, who had a rough time last night. Solid running back room, only 4 running backs though, so hopefully nobody gets hurt. You're banking on that kind of a little bit, or you're gonna have to hammer the running back waiver wires if somebody does. You got Mike Evans, DK Metcalf, Mike Williams, Jarvis Landry, Hunter Renfrow, Devonta Smith, and Julio Jones. I like your flyers in the second half here, wide receivers. Hunter Renfrow, Devonta Smith, and Julio Jones. I think they all look pretty good. You got Dalton Schultz as your tight end. Also Pat Freiermuth. So I think Dalton's going to be pretty good this year. I think overall your team is solid. I think it's almost the opposite of like Neil's team. You have like a solid tight end, solid quarterback, and I think actually your starting running backs, Leonard Fournette and Alvin Kamara, are going to be really good. But your wide receivers, I think, are kind of lacking. Well, you have a plethora of wide receivers. I think the wide receiver room in general could have a little bit more talent on it. But Mike Evans is a good start. Mike Williams, the two of them could be a solid wide receiver 1 and 2. So you might have to figure out the flex spot a little bit each week, but I think overall your quarterback could make up for some of that. And then finally, Brandon. You got Russell Wilson starting off in your quarterback spot. Derrick Henry, David Montgomery, Melvin Gordon, Chuba Hubbard, Khalil Herbert, and Kenneth Walker. So you got like 2 starting running backs. Melvin Gordon, who's split in time in Denver, might be decent. And then you got 3 kind of backups. So you're just hoping, somebody goes down eventually to get yourself a third solid running back there. Then you got Justin Jefferson, Cortland Sutton, Robert Woods, Michael Gallup, and Alan Lazard. I think Justin Jefferson and Cortland Sutton are solid starters. And then you got Mark Andrews and Darren Waller. So 2 tight ends. You might be putting 1 in your flex this week. That's what you had kind of mentioned. So you could have Derrick Henry, David Montgomery, Justin Jefferson, Cortland Sutton, and then Darren Waller in your flex, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but I usually don't put a tight end in my flex, so that's up to you. But overall, a solid team. I think the team that I would be most scared to go up against is probably Neil's team right now. His wide receivers and starting running backs look really good. I'd have a tough time, I think, going up against him. Otherwise, the rest of you guys, I don't know. You're just fodder for my team. My team's just going to destroy all of yours. So, just so you know, this is what's going to happen to all of you this year. Dude, I got so many good drops this year. I'm so stoked. But I think that kind of wraps up my preseason week 0. I just wanted to get something out to you guys, let you guys know what I thought of your teams, and just kind of get this whole podcast thing started this year. Give you a little taste of what might be to come this year. So, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I will catch you guys next week after week 1. See you guys.